The bell has rung. Welcome to another edition of In Ring Reality, right here on the In Ring Reality YouTube channel and Facebook page. And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast version, I appreciate you as well. I, of course, am your host, Josh Radauskas, and today I'm happy to be joined by a good friend of mine who I haven't actually done a video with in quite some time. This is David Rivera, Fort Minor Project. How are you?
Doing good. What's going on?
Oh, I'm hanging in there because obviously the lead story from what's been going on the last few hours has kind of hit me right in the feels. So, in case for some weird reason this is the only source you have for wrestling news and you didn't see Monday Night Raw, the man Becky Lynch is no longer your Raw Women's Champion as she announced her pregnancy. So, needless to
Yeah,
say that I was very emotional. The way I put it is I've never been so simultaneously overjoyed and happy at the same time. That's the way I told people how I was feeling. So how are you feeling? What was your reaction to this?
yeah. Watching Raw last night, I heard rumors prior beforehand because I was on Twitter and everything. So I was telling someone else I wasn't going to believe it until Becky Lynch actually came out and said it. And then come to find out, Raw starts. We have this promo. Becky Lynch comes out and everything. Not only did she have the briefcase, but she actually had also the Raw Women's Championship too as well. So I didn't know what to expect really, but her announcing her pregnancy and it was official. I'm definitely happy for her, and she actually handed over the Raw Women's Championship to Asuka as well. So a lot happening at once, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely something I was not expecting.
Yeah,
Um, was for the because she came out with the Money in the Bank, and I was just like the announcers. I was like, why does she have Oscar's briefcase? Like I knew
yeah,
that she was gonna confront the women's Money in the Bank winner, but the champion should not have the briefcase. And then I noticed, wait, she doesn't have the title. And then I sort of, is the title in there? And so it just sort of slowly evolved into what we actually saw. But we talked
yeah,
off the air just before we came in. We're both kind of a belief that Asuka didn't have that in her script. Like her reaction seemed 100% legit to the news.
yeah. I think she was just as surprised as most of us were, really. And it was like kind of like added character and everything, like I talked to you before about before we met live. So yeah, Asuka's a new champ and Becky's a mom. Who knew?
It's great. It's great. Like it's definitely
Yeah,
I am the ma for sure now.
yeah, she
But
definitely is.
it's great. It's a wonderful thing, and but it's so sad at the same time. Just because, from a fan standpoint, it's just a little sad because 400-day reign has to end that
Mm,
way. Like she doesn't get to drop
yeah,
the title; she has to vacate it. Like that. That's the only part that's a little bit sad because you're used to wrestlers getting injured, things happen. You don't see them for a while, but usually
hmm,
there's usually some kind of way for something to come to an end. But this was just out of nowhere from a kayfabe standpoint. So,
yeah,
but anyway, Money in the Bank though was very good. I was really surprised. One, how short the card ended up being. It was only 2 hours and 30 minutes, which I can't remember the last time a pay per view went that short from WWE. And two, I was really surprised by the fact that, and Gene and everybody in the comments, by the way, I do see your comments. I just want to get through the show before we start answering comments because that kind of interrupts the flow and makes it easier to put it at the end. But as I was saying, like, I can't remember the last time that a pay per view was that short, first of all. And then, second of all, the way that they did Money in the Bank, like when they said Money in the Bank was going to happen at the same time, like the men and women's matches, I was like, how in the heck? But it was cinematic, much like the Boneyard match and Firefly Funhouse.
Mhm.
So it was the most unique match I think I can ever remember seeing with that big of a stakes. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I honestly didn't know what to really expect, but yeah, I was definitely surprised in how short Money in the Bank ended up being. I had to look back at the clock just to be sure on what time it was. So I don't remember honestly the last time we did have that short of a pay-per-view. So I could kind of expect it now. We might see it for the upcoming pay-per-view for Backlash. And these cinematic matches are actually adding a lot more, which is pretty interesting how they're doing it.
Yeah, I love what they're doing. You know, for the horrible situation that we are in with the
Hmm.
pandemic, I love the fact that they have found a way to be creative because what other choice do they have? Because certain
Hmm.
elements of pro wrestling just don't work without a crowd. So they have
Right.
to figure out something else to do. And I really enjoy these cinematic matches that they've been doing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we'll see what else they can really do with these other matches. And like especially like with Braun and Grace, that one actually surprised me, and that I like how they added like the puppets and everything to it. So yeah, they're definitely finding their ways. Definitely, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we talked about Money in the Bank and well, we
Hmm.
started to anyway. But what did you think about? Obviously, we know what happened with Oscar, and that was
Hmm.
clearly the right choice given what we know now. But
Definitely.
what did you think about Otis? Like that one really surprised me, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I was going for like either AJ Styles or Aleister Black, but Otis was the last person I would expect to actually win it, and he just won it by mistake, and it just was basically thrown to him. So I think there's a lot of different ways they can go with this with Otis, and either he can go at it and cash in and lose it, or go at it and deal with the tag team titles somehow. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised about anything else like that at this point either. So it
I wouldn't
definitely
either.
got to be curious.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought he was.
Mm.
I didn't realize he was in mid sentence. I apologize to him and to everybody else. But no, I was just saying that I agree with that. Like the tag titles was the
Mhm.
first thing that popped into my mind. Like now that the Mandy Rose storyline has been settled, you know, Tucker will eventually come back in. So I wouldn't be surprised them going that way. But let's face it, this whole Mandy Rose storyline has made Tucker the hottest thing on SmackDown. Like people are loving Otis. So one,
Mhm.
WWE for once, they actually went with the hot hand, which they usually don't do a lot of.
Mhm.
Um, so I was really surprised by that. But also I was actually thinking like, are they gonna use the opportunity of the briefcase where you don't have to cash it in right away and really start building him up as a credible singles competitor? I mean, they could do that as well.
Yeah, they could do that. I was also thinking they might go at a route where maybe someone wants to face him for it. Maybe he'll lose it that way, and someone else will be the briefcase winner, like we've seen before.
That could be the case too, because both
Mhm.
AJ Styles and Baron Corbin had their hands on the briefcase, so they kind of have a legitimate claim to say, "Hey, you should not have this thing." You know, that was a complete fluke, and both of
Yeah.
them were healed. So, from a character standpoint, it would make sense. It wouldn't be like another face was coming after
Mhm.
Otis, like a Daniel Bryan. So,
Yeah.
I could definitely see that happening. And I think AJ would be really interesting because of the whole continuing with Undertaker thing that I think will continue when we finally have a crowd again. Does that
Mhm.
mean that Taker, in his last hurrah, as it were, gets another championship shot? Like, does AJ end up becoming WWE champion before we see him face Taker again? Like, that's one avenue they could definitely go down.
Yeah, anything can really happen at this point, and I know as of recently, like I don't know how it's gonna work for other superstars, but I know apparently King Corbin's supposed to be showing up on Raw, so I don't know how how that's going to turn out.
Well, yeah, that's the
So
other
we'll see.
thing that's on the list of things to talk about was the whole
Mm,
um, open brand invitation because apparently the networks have not liked the ratings because they've been at record lows because for a lot of people, I guess, empty arena wrestling just doesn't work. So the networks are trying desperately to figure out how to fix things. So they figure if they have stars on all the shows, it might boost ratings some. But I also think it's actually really smart because with the pandemic, there's a lot of people that aren't able to work or aren't comfortable working. So they have a
mm,
smaller roster as a whole to begin with. And they don't have as many people to use as a whole to begin with. So I think this rule could actually make a lot of sense and make the product better as a whole.
yeah, it's something that I'll have to get used to again because I know we kind of dealt with the wild card rule. So unless they have it like differently this time, and then maybe the brands will end up actually ending, and then they actually make it more exciting, we'll see what happens. Because I know now Charlotte Flair is looking to be on SmackDown and everything, so there's going to be
That's
a lot of
crazy.
things
That means
that
Charlotte's literally working all three shows.
pretty much, yeah, as NXT champion. Yep.
That is absolutely insane when you sit and think about it.
Yeah.
So before I get into the rest of Money in the Bank, just because I realize I haven't really talked to you in forever, people
Mhm.
that watch your videos would know the answer to this, but for my audience, I'm just curious if you could tell us like how do you feel as a wrestling fan right now? Like, are you grateful that wrestling is still happening during this pandemic, or do you think it was a mistake and guys girls shouldn't be working, or how are you taking all this?
Well, in the beginning, I wasn't too sure about it, and somehow they were able to make it work, and I saw they were being safe about it just by hearing stuff. But as of right now, I am thankful about it, and it's the only thing that we really got that is live since there's no other sports going on. I know they're looking to come back at a later date, so even that's up in the air. So I'm pretty much like taking it for what it is. So it's not just WWE too. I know there's Impact. They're doing shows without fans and everything. So wrestling basically is kind of like the medicine right now. So we definitely could use it.
It is the mess, and I mean that's the way I look at it as well. Is we need
Hmm.
some sense of normalcy, so at
Right.
least as wrestling fans, we're still getting that in a way. I mean, as normal
Yep.
as it can be. So, what has been your favorite match of the empty arena era, for lack of a better way to put it? Like, what have you
Mm.
enjoyed the most?
And so that's an interesting question. I guess, going back to probably like WrestleMania and everything. So far has been like my favorite show that I've enjoyed out of it. Not to say like actual match or anything, but like just the show in itself, really.
Yeah, I thought WrestleMania was great as well. I
Hmm.
agree. I agree with you there. So, new back to Money in the Bank now. New
Hmm.
Day retains the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Wasn't really surprised by this one because they just put the titles on them. So that really didn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, with the New Day winning, I mean, that's fine. It would have been actually interesting if they had the Lucha House Party win it there, but
I
that's
agree. Or even
yeah,
Forgotten Sons, because since Forgotten
yeah,
Sons came to SmackDown, they've actually been good and entertaining. Go figure.
yes, surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah. So, I would have been okay with either one. But, New Day won. And
Mm.
do you think New Day ties into this hacker storyline? Or do you think the hacker is targeting someone else, like maybe Sasha and Bailey? Like, where do you think
Mm.
that's going?
I really don't know at this point. Really, I thought it was like with Sonya and Mandy, but I guess it's like they're just watching everybody at this point to see who they're gonna, I guess, debut or re-debut whoever it is, and I'm really curious to see who it's gonna be and when they show up.
Yeah, as am I. I originally thought it was going to be Ali, because if you look at the
And
symbols, it looks a lot like his symbol that he wears on his mask.
yeah,
But
I thought I lead too. I saw on Twitter too, like I saw like a CM Punk reference, but I don't know. That's
I
kind of
think
like
that's just
hopeful thinking.
yeah, that's just people being way too hopeful. I mean, let's face
Yeah.
it, at this point. Plus, if CM Punk's ever gonna return to WWE or
Hmm.
anywhere else, CM Punk's not gonna waste the return in the middle of this virus. He's
Yeah,
gonna come back when he can get that earth-shattering crowd reaction.
I could see that. That would be cool.
That's yeah, that's what I feel anyway. So
Mm.
then we had on the pre-show because I accidentally skipped over. We had Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. This was a decent little match for what it was.
Yeah, it was kind of like out of nowhere, but it was cool to see Jeff Hardy come back, and he didn't really like miss a beat or anything.
Oh no, for sure. And Jeff Hardy and Cesaro, like if they give
Hmm.
those two time and actually have them feud, like that's a mouth-watering feud when you think about it.
Yeah, and hopefully Cesaro will actually be like in the main event. I would love to see that.
Oh yeah, I've been pushing for that for years. I would love to see that. So um I was trying to think how the card went. Oh, yeah. R Truth versus was supposed to be R Truth versus MVP, but then it ended up being Bobby Lashley in a squash match. And then Truth
Mm.
said he's gonna go after Tom Brady and get his baby back. So I guess the 24/7 title isn't dead. Like there was so much going on with this like one little 10-minute block. Like I really didn't know how to react to it. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really too much going on. I just felt like Bobby Lashley was trying to get like his frustrations out or something like that. So it was a little random.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. The WWE Championship, we touched on it a little
Hmm.
bit already, but my goodness, what great storyline between, or storytelling, sorry, between Bray and Braun. They told a beautiful story in this match. Like Braun actually playing psychologically with Bray, Bray trying desperately to say, "No, Braun, you have to come home because I can't control him. I can't control him," referencing the Fiend. I just thought
Hmm.
everything about this match really worked. I was really a big fan of this.
No, yeah, I wasn't too sure going into it, but the build up I thought was cool, and how things were for the Universal Championship. So, Braun Strowman keeping it for a while. I want to see where that goes, especially where him and Bray actually continue things. And like I said, the puppets being involved, that was really cool.
Yeah, well, the puppets being involved was something I didn't expect because this wasn't a
Hmm.
cinematic match. So when they showed up
Yeah.
in the arena, I was like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
that's cool. And then when Braun put the black sheep mask on, I was like, oh crap, this just got really good now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought he
really.
was gonna rejoin and everything. He almost got me there.
Yeah, he did. He got me there for a minute too. It's
Hmm.
like, is he gonna be Bray's muscle and Bray is gonna be like mind controlling the Universal
Hmm.
Championship? Like for a split second there, I thought that's what they might be doing. So yeah, I just thought it was a beautiful story. And obviously from the end where we saw the Fiend flash, obviously that's where they're going. They're building toward
Hmm.
Braun versus actually the Fiend instead of Bray. So, I'm all for it because the first match was great.
Yeah, we'll definitely see where it goes. It's gonna be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Drew versus Seth, I thought was the best match of the night. Not the most entertaining match because obviously that was Money in the Bank, but the
Hmm.
best, maybe one-on-one match we've seen in this empty arena era. For like I said earlier, for lack of a better way to put it, I really enjoyed this match. I thought these two just tore the house down, and it was just great storytelling from the both of them. I thought they had great
Hmm.
chemistry.
Yeah, I feel like we might see these things like continuing to backlash Drew as champion has been like really cool. I think he definitely deserves it. So I hope he does have like a good enough title run and everything. So yeah, these two definitely had a really cool dope match. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what we saw from Seth on Raw as a result. Like him just getting
Hmm.
crazier and crazier and crazier and just
Yeah.
dipping more into this psychotic character. I think it's
Hmm.
just brilliant. And like what they did with Ray, I was like, they would have never done that a couple of months ago. Like, that's not PG, what we just saw with Seth
Yeah.
Rollins and Rey Mysterio. So I was really taken aback by that, and then Seth like some people have criticized this, but I actually really like the way Seth was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what happened out there. I don't know what came over me." That
Mhm.
signals to me like he's snapped a little bit, and then when he gets
Yeah.
waked back up into reality and he's faced with the reality of what he's done, he's very regretful. So I think
Mhm.
like if it's a combination of frustration in the ring, but also with Becky's announcement now being kayfabe and public to the world, I also think it's that too. Like it just might be him.
Could be.
Like how can I handle being a father when I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
the savior of this company? Like I think
Mhm.
all the elements can work into it really well.
Yeah, it kind of like in a way like shock a little bit, like trying to deal with the news and everything, and then after losing, to his match with Drew and everything. So almost too like they had like almost respect, but I guess not. So I'm sure Seth is gonna want another match down the line, definitely.
I think he will, but then KO will come back at some point once his ankle heals.
Hmm.
So I mean, there might still be
Yeah.
something there as well between those two. But it's
Hmm.
also like I wanted to get your opinion on this. I said to Jamie, who's normally here with me, she got tied
Hmm.
up tonight, but I said to her, and tonight is when we're recording this, by the way, for those of you that
Yeah.
listen to the audio podcast version, because I'm also doing a special episode tomorrow, which I'll get into at the end. So you're probably going to get back to back episodes in the audio only feed. So just a heads up there, because I don't think I'll have time to edit one before I record the other. But what I said to Jamie was, it's really interesting now to me, how long did they let Seth, or how long does Seth let himself, maybe it's more appropriate, continue to wrestle, because he is at risk to contract the virus by continuing to work, and he's going to have to be able to take care of Becky and his child at some point. So are they going to pull him off TV sooner rather than later?
Yeah, that all depends on how things are gonna happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. We'll see him like, one time and then another time. Like you have been seeing, they kind of like alternate people in a way. So they might
That's
have to do that.
that's true. That is true. They have been
Hmm.
going every other week, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you're Seth though, what do you do? Like I know it's kind of impossible, but like put
Mhm.
yourself in Seth's shoes. Do you keep working, or do you go home and be with your wife because you just don't know?
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely like go back home, definitely for sure.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think so as well. So, is there anything else that stands out to you from the last couple of days before I go into our live comments here?
Just with Money in the Bank, I really enjoyed the show and how well it went, and especially like with the women's match too. The whole thing with Bailey and what she's doing as a heel, I'm definitely liking that and want to see where
Oh,
things go
Bailey
with her
is
last time.
killing. Sorry,
Yeah,
she's
I would have
absolutely
never
killing.
expected that. Hmm.
No, I went through. I said that to Jamie as well. Like, this is the
Yeah,
one person. Like, if you would ask me a year ago, like, is there one person that'll never work as a heel? I would have said Bailey all day,
yeah,
every day. And
hmm,
turns out that she was actually born to be a heel. She's
hmm,
absolutely killing this.
yeah. I think
Which
she wanted it too, and I think she pitched it. Not too sure about the whole full story though.
I don't know about the full story either. But then
Mhm.
you start to think about it, and you're like,
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't be so surprised because Bailey
Mhm.
started out as one of us. She was that crazy
Yeah.
fan that went into,
Mhm.
from town to town to meet everybody. So she knows what it takes to evolve in the wrestling business and do something different. So I'm sure she, used to pretend to be a bad guy in her bedroom too. So I mean, it's probably
Mhm.
not as foreign a territory to her as it seems to us. So,
That's true.
but yeah, I love the way they're doing this, and I think obviously everyone believes that it's eventually going to lead to Sasha versus Bailey, but the way they're doing it is like the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. Because I thought it was going to be Sasha manipulating her. Now it feels like it's the other way around, especially with what we
Yeah.
saw on WrestleMania, sorry, Money in the Bank, where Bailey just wouldn't even let Sasha talk. She was in
Mhm.
control of that whole situation and cut off that whole narrative. And the more that happens, the more you look at Sasha's face, and she's just like slowly starting to be like, okay, you're going a little bit too far here. I think it's really nice, subtle
Mhm.
storytelling that they're doing.
No, yeah, and I don't know. I feel like it might actually happen at SummerSlam. That would be really interesting to see how they would turn things about that way, and then have them go at it for the title. I'd like to see that. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Um, so before I get just real quick before I get in the live comments, I did think of something else that I wanted to ask you. What do you think the right if they are going to do this wild card or brand invitation rule is
Mhm.
like? What do you think the right approach to that is? Should they announce who's going to be there every week, or should they keep it a surprise? Because I think surprising the audience would work better, but
Mhm.
from the network standpoint, they probably don't want that because it's supposed to be like a ratings thing for them, and they want that ratings pop, and they're not going to get it unless the casual fan is like, "Oh, my favorite's going to be on this show this week, so I have to watch this show." So,
Yeah, I would actually like kind of keep it as a surprise and just have it like where the brand split is over. And I actually kind of miss like general managers kind of getting into this and everything, but who knows at this point. But yeah, keep it as a surprise and have it be unexpected. I think that would be an interesting way of doing it, but we'll see.
yeah. What is your feeling about? I keep remembering things. Sorry, folks. I'm not trying to prolong the show. I just haven't gotten a chance to talk to David in forever.
No.
What was your reaction to Charlotte at WrestleMania and now her being back in NXT as NXT champion? Like that's something so different for her, and I love it.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, seeing her win, I mean, it didn't really bother me actually too much. So, you know, right now, I think it's actually really cool because now we get to see all these different feuds we saw with me and him, now with Io Shirai, but that's looking to continue, obviously, and then Rhea Ripley, of course. So there's a lot of different stuff that's coming out of this, and now she's looking to be on Raw and SmackDown and NXT. So who knows?
Well,
It's kind of
and I
endless.
and I think that might be a little bit of the powers that be panicking, thinking, okay, we
Mm,
don't have Becky anymore, so we got to put
yeah.
Charlotte everywhere because there's nobody else
Hmm.
that the fans care about, which is not true at all. But from a
Hmm.
corporate standpoint, that's just might be what they're thinking.
I could see that. Yeah, that would make sense.
What do you think? Who do you think she's going to drop the NXT title to whenever she does? Do you think it's going back to Rhea? Do you think it's going to go to Io? Are they going to put it on somebody else?
Um, I would say probably Rhea. I think that would make the most sense, and then keep it on obviously in NXT, and then unless they do the same thing, just whoever wins it, then they can do the same thing and just show up on Raw and SmackDown if they wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that approach as well. So we
Mhm.
have several comments from Gene here about the Becky Lynch Seth Rollins' pregnancy. So I'm just gonna put them all on screen one by one, and then we can react to them. So first comment is
Mhm.
just her saying hi to me. So hi, Jean. And the second comment is just tears emoji. I feel you. We feel
Yeah,
you on that. Totally
yeah,
feel
that
you.
was emotional. We were in the feels.
Third comment is proud of her and Seth. Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Mm,
mean, these two were made for each other. I was one of those people that shipped them before they even got together. So I'm
right,
really, really happy for them. And I think they're going to be wonderful parents. Absolutely wonderful parents. And
definitely.
next comment is she says, she will be back. Well, I certainly hope that's the case. I certainly hope that's the case because now with the we touched on earlier with the rumors about her doing more acting and acting being a much more safe career than wrestling, like you, that's just not a guaranteed thing. But I certainly hope
Mm.
she'll be back.
Yeah, I think definitely for sure she'll be back. If not full time, then probably like a part time thing. But you never know.
You never know. You
Mhm.
you never know. But I agree with you. I think that she could definitely do a part time thing, and Becky's one of the few people that I don't think there would be backlash for. No pun intended.
No,
Not talking about the next pay per view, but I don't think
yeah,
there would be backlash for her because it's Becky. People just love her. So,
mm,
and they would accept the situation because it's not
mm,
like she's wrestling part time because she wants to. She's taking care of her daughter or her son, whichever it ends up being.
yeah, that's definitely true. And when she comes back, it's gonna be an awesome reception too,
Oh, without a
especially when
doubt.
we have the fans
With
back.
without a doubt, without a doubt. And then the
Hmm.
final comment is she says, hope Seth stays healthy for Becky when he's wrestling or he's taking a break because she's due in December.
Hmm.
Well, we touched on that as well. Like, how long is he actually going to wrestle? And he is putting himself at risk and he does need to stay healthy.
Hmm.
So, like I said, I'm sure that they have had discussions. Like, I'm sure they know what's
Yeah,
best for him and best for them. I don't see Seth at all hurting her or his child. Like, it'll all work
no,
out in the end, for sure.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure we'll just like see him wrestle like here and there after a while, pretty much. Not as much, but just to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, David, I really enjoyed having you on, brother. It's been far too long
Hmm.
since we've got to hang out. You're welcome back on the show anytime. And I know you're working on some things of
Hmm.
your own. And if you ever need my help with that, I'm down for it for sure. Um,
Yeah.
so for anybody that doesn't know where to find you or what you're all about, why don't you plug all your stuff as we get out of here?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, I'm looking to work on the In the Hot Seat podcast. I'm looking to be not only on Mixer, but Twitch and everywhere else. But where you can find me is YouTube with Fort Minor Project as well. And you can find me on Twitter as well with In the Hot Seat 89 and pretty much Fort Minor Project straight across the board, basically. Everywhere
There,
else.
there you go. And for me,
Yeah.
you all know the drill for the show. It's at In Ring Reality everywhere. For my other ventures, of course, it's just at Josh Rosowski is everywhere. The Becky Lynch fan page is on Instagram. Is at Deadly Becky Lynch is the goat. And also for my personal Facebook profile that I sometimes do Facebook exclusives to and things like that. It's at Josh Rosowski's YT because, as I mentioned before, I already had a personal Facebook, but then I opened one up for the public. So there's that one as well. So, as I always like to say to end every show, whoa, almost forgot. Oh, see, this is the problem with going live. Sometimes you forget things. Tomorrow, tomorrow
Mhm.
I'm going to be back here around 11 a.m. or 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, sitting down with a good friend of mine named Chris Cummings from the UK, and we're going to be doing a Becky Lynch special talking about the future of Becky Lynch. And that originally came out of the fact that he's also a movie buff like me, so we wanted to talk about her acting career or the potential of it. But now with her pregnancy as well, there's a lot more to talk about with that. So you can look forward to that tomorrow. So, as I always like to say, life is only as good as what you choose to make it to be. So, make the choice to go out and do something great today.